friends, could you miss me? It's been probably less than 24 hours since my crisis worm situation video came out, but things have changed pretty quickly. So I think it was yesterday I recorded that video, so hopefully you caught it. But long story short, the heat mats that I was trying out have just not worked out in my urban worm bag. That's a whole other discussion, but I think really the bag itself is not up and running, and it's not moving really a lot, and there's not a lot of worms in there. So what happened was the bottom part of the bag retained a lot of moisture. The top part where the mats were was drying out, and it was just causing these like crazy fluctuations, and it was setting off my thermostat saying it's too dry in there, and like that's a fire hazard. Not to mention it wasn't really ever getting, I mean, a few times when it got really dry, the temperature got up to like maybe 60, 64, I think was the highest I saw according to the thermostats that we have. But if it was at a much higher humidity level, obviously the temperature dropped. And out here in Colorado right now in the garage, I don't know what the exact temperature is, but I know outside we've been in the 30s, mid 30s, but still 30s. And last night was the first night that I had taken the heat mats off. I put a ton of blankets on here, all these moving blankets, and I was like, fingers crossed, let's see how it does. When I woke up this morning, it said it was 36 degrees in the top of the bin and around there in the middle of the bin, because there are two different thermometers. And I was like, if it's 30 or 40 degrees outside and we're hitting those temperatures even at night in the teens, we have a couple days coming up where we are single digit highs with negatives as our low, so it is not going to get better. So we're going to troubleshoot the best we know how, and I thought this is going to be an interesting learning experience. So I just ran to Home Depot, grabbed 3 76-gallon bins. I know technically you're supposed to be drilling holes and doing all that, but we don't have time for that. Like literally, I don't know if you can tell, the sun is setting. I have maybe an hour before I can't see out here, and it's just so dark. We also know that while we were trying to manage the heat mats moisture situation with the top and the bottom, that even though I was only adding a half a gallon of water so at a time, so much water congregated at the bottom that it actually ended up dripping out. So like the bottom is way too wet and the top is way too dry. So I have my supply bags, so I'm happy to use them. Ready to go. So what I'm going to do, since I don't have time to drill and everything, is we're going to put a lot of dry paper at the bottom that'll help absorb the moisture. But I've been also saving our paper egg cartons, and I thought that might be a nice buffer to like slow the moisture down a little bit. So I'm going to put that in the bottom, see if that helps. But you know what's going to be fun about this? Silver lining. I know everybody loves getting the heavy duty black totes, but you can't really tell what's going on in there, and these are going to go in a dark basement that, we're going to try to light, but I figured I would love to see the clear bins being used, because then we could watch the progress of the bins over time, and I can always cover them with a blanket and they will be just as good. So I'm going to set up the camera in a different spot, get some things ready. We are going to start transferring our urban worm bag contents, which are still early stages, and I hope there's even some worms in there, but I like to think we have some cocoons at least we're saving. And I'll set it up, show you guys how this transfers out. Alright, so the first thing we're starting with here is the bottom, because I know there's a ton of water in there. You can see it on the floor where my overflow spilled on the way out. I have this kind of shallow bin you guys probably recognize from the Florida garden. But what I want to do before I even open the top is, I even feel bad doing this. This thing is pretty heavy. Like, I don't think we could carry this. I mean, not easily. Like, I don't think we're easily moving this downstairs right now. And it's a pretty narrow flight of stairs too. So, as much as I don't want to do this, is what it is. So, I know there's a bunch of water in here that's going to need to drain out. So the sooner I can help that drain, I think the better. So I want to get that started before I prep the bins. And for those of you wondering, I have an urban worm bag version 2, which has a slightly different apparatus at the bottom here. I think this Velcro was new with this version. Oh, I do have some worms down here. Oh my goodness. shocked to hear that the worm water smells. Alright, there's a lot of worms in here. I don't know how many are alive. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is not good. That is not good. Whew, boy, did we make a mistake. Alright, we're gonna come up with a different plan. You guys can't even tell, but there's not an insignificant number of worms in here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any movement on these though. You guys, this is not good. Looks like a lot of worms down here. I don't know if they got stuck, if they tried to go warmer. Oh man. Considering we only started with 1,000 worms, this is not good. This is not good. I don't see any signs of life, which isn't shocking because if they're sitting in the water essentially freezing, I doubt they're alive. Yeah, no, they're okay. Well, that is not good. Not good. But you can see why this is a problem, because so much water got added trying to keep the heat mats up top safe and the material, because we don't want that material drying out because it's paper, it's flammable. Unfortunately, looks like things went south, quite literally. All the water built up, and hopefully there's still a few worms in here, but oh man, that is not good. Okay. Well, that is a shame. Sorry, worms, we have failed you. All right, well, let's check the top then and see what we can salvage. All right, well, just for context, these are all the worms, and there's still a few in here, but it smells pretty potent. There's no movement in here, so unfortunately things went wrong with this part. So we'll try and salvage whatever we can out of here, and hopefully there's some worms in there. But like I said, if we only started with 1,000 worms, I think we're looking at them right here. Okay, I was just in here yesterday, so I know what to expect, at least on the top. But unfortunately, what we just saw will explain why when I was digging in here trying to find worms, I couldn't find any because there really aren't any. So let's see, we're looking at 41 degrees now, 93% humidity, and you can tell this is what I was talking about. It is so dry where the heat mats are that it's leaving like little burn spots. But as soon as I get past this dry part, it's going to be super wet. Since we know that the top paper that's coming out of the bin right now for the most part is dry, I'm going to go ahead and not put a ton of extra paper in here. I just lined the bottom with 8 cartons so it'll keep some air bubbles on the bottom, and so that way as water didn't strip down, it can and it'll, it could wick up through these if it needs to, but we know those top layers of paper is going to be fairly dry, so I'm not super worried about this bin. All right, so bin's here, the urban worm bag's right here. I'm going to switch this around a little bit so you can see as we undo the urban worm bag what it looks like. So sad about the worms. Obviously, it's never anybody's intention to have happen, but, and the crazy part is it was only after, I don't say exclusively, but it was really only after I added the heat mats where we were really having those like peaks and lows with the humidity where it was so terribly dry. I mean, that's a shame. Yeah, it's sad. Because I put so much of this like kind of bulk paper in the top for right now, I'm just gonna toss it in another bin so we don't have too much of it in this bin right now. Because this, I mean, would take a long time for them to break down, and it's pretty wet, obviously. So I'm just gonna put this in another bin as backup for now. But yeah, they're not gonna get through this anytime soon. If there's even anybody in here. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of coconut core over here. I'm gonna put this in bin 2, kind of our overflow bin. I'm keeping my eyes out for worms. I know you guys can't tell me if you see them until it's probably too late. But honestly, like if we could even salvage some of the cocoons, that would be great. This is all going into bin 2. Thankfully, I don't know if it's thankfully, but it's obviously too cold for flies of pretty much any kind, or bugs. Yeah. Oh, okay. Alright, that's interesting. That is food. It was food, so we'll come back to that. I'm just trying to get some of this like big paper chunks that we know were just kind of chunks. Worst case scenario, if there is any worms in them, and I put them in the other bin. There's plenty of moisture in there. They will be fine. Alright, what do we got over here? This is paper. Alright, this is probably paper. We've gotten to our thermostat. This is the one that was buried. Yeah, this says it's 39. This was pretty far down, so I'm going to throw that in bin 1 on top of that kind of dry stuff on the bottom. And we'll go ahead and put it in the middle for now. Alright, well, right off of that, I can see an avocado. Well, what's left of an avocado shell, which is usually a good spot. Oh, there's one worm. Oh my gosh, are you alive? Oh my God, is he alive? Is he alive? The tiniest worm ball. You guys, there's hope. We have a few worms that are alive. Oh my God, this might be the most precious worm ball I've seen ever. It's too small for anybody else to probably get excited about. But at least we're not at 100% loss. Okay, there's one guy on there. So what did that put it at, like 6 worms? I don't know if there's actually any worms on this, but I feel like there could be. Because I think over here, yeah, pulling out some coconut. This is where the coconut core really starts to mix in more, so it gets a little harder to distinguish. Just kind of chucking this stuff in. I think this one we'll put in bin. Oh, there's a worm on here. Nope, it's going in. Pretty much anything where I think I see a worm, or I see a worm, it's going in 1. But honestly, now that I say that out loud, I should probably just put anything in the vicinity of an active worm in bin 1. So this is where we had a lot of shredded paper added with the coconut core. Oh, there is a worm. Are you alive? Are you alive? Okay. Did you guys see that? Slightly moved. Alright, I think that puts us at maybe 10 worms. Whew. Okay. Alright. I don't really see anything. I ought to be careful because to a certain point, we know that the further down we go, the wetter this is going to get. So it's pretty wet here. I can't imagine how it's going to look down there. Alright, I think what we're going to have to do, I'm really going to look at this spot a little bit more and see if there was anything. So, you know what we got to do? Stick your hand in here. Should we have put our hair back first? Probably yes. Okay. Anything moving? Do I see anything moving? Oh, I see one. Are you alive? Okay. Small wiggle, but you're there. Okay, cool. Alright, I don't see anything in this pool, but that doesn't mean there's not anything. I think I'm just going to plan on putting a lot of this in bin 1. Assuming there's probably a straggler or two here and there, and we have room. All right. And I see one. Okay. Yep, you're coming with me. You're going in bin one. I'll label these bins so we don't get them mixed up. Oh, I guess we'll probably be able to tell. So this is already, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is too wet. Oh, I see one. Okay. My bar's pretty low right now. Pretty low. Definitely don't see any, but alright. So this, I think, had food in it. Oh my gosh, yes, it did. Oh, okay, there's gotta be somebody in here. Okay. Is there anybody in here? Oh, there are. You guys, we have a few. Okay. There's still food somehow in here, and it looks like some mites. I don't see a lot of movement. Oh, the grape just fell out. Okay, that's been there for a while. I'll be honest, those worms in particular are not moving a ton. But, not shocking. They're probably very cold. Bin 2. So what I'm thinking is, bin 2 probably for this. It's not like I'm throwing any of this out. Oh, big guy, big chunk. Oh my gosh. You guys, look. Alright, I promise I won't show you everyone, but like he looks kind of healthy. And avocados. Another little worm ball. Okay, sorry guys, I'll get you in here. Alright, so here's bin 1. Here's bin 2. We're about halfway full, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of our paper from our worm supply bags, put it in, we're going to sandwich it, and then I'm losing daylight here, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up transferring this as much as I can, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. But at least they're not a complete 100% loss, so I guess there's that. Hey guys, I'm almost out of daylight here, so I just want to run down what happened. I got as much as I could out of the urban worm bag. You can even see some light at the bottom. It's a shame about the whole moisture situation. We're learning. We're definitely in a different scenario than Florida. As terrible as the casualty losses, it's part of the learning process, and I'd rather learn now when I only bought 1,000 worms instead of, if I would have bought 4,000 or 5,000 worms or something to get going. So I'm going to figure out how to put these back, and thinking about dumping them into my compost bin, the hot one, in my tumbler, because I figured, it's all part of the circle of composting, right? So we'll see. I just can't know if I can get back there with the ice and snow right now, or it's on the ground at least. So let's take a look at our bins. I labeled them so we don't get them mixed up. We have bin 1, bin 2, and then bin 3. And you guys heard me talking about bin 1 and 2. Bin 1 was either confirmed, I saw life, I put that in there. Some of the stuff off the top, some of the stuff, the bedding with food scraps, around the food scraps, anything where I think there was a better chance of life to sustain. Bin 2 was like, this is starting to get, deeper down into the bin. The moisture levels are much higher, less and less hospitable. But, maybe there's some good feelings. Maybe there's some stuff. I don't know. And bin 3 was pretty much everything at the bottom that was like super soaked, super saturated. I put a ton of dried paper at the bottom. I put some egg cartons in, so hopefully some of that moisture distribution will change. It does smell, obviously, because it's molding and breaking down. So I'm going to figure out how we go about making sure they're getting fresh air and stuff like that once they're in the basement. But I just need to get them inside and get them starting to warm up. The thermostat, the Bluetooth thermostat, is in that one, bin 1, in a baggie. I have the extra thermostat that was at the top of the urban worm bag. I'll probably just put that down on top of them in the basement. We'll see, but it doesn't make sense to bury more of them. Like, they're going to be automatically warmer than being out here, because the temperature is in fact dropping. I just looked at my phone, and we're already at below freezing temperatures just in the ambient air out here. So I got to get these guys inside. I'm going to bring some of our moving blankets that we had from our cross-country move. I'm going to bring them in, layer them up so the light won't be bothering them. But I am kind of excited to start to be able to kind of watch all of this paper and coconut coir and pretty much paper waste that we have in here start to transform over the next few months. Because is this ideal? No. Do I want to lose my worms? Also no. But if we're going to do it, at least we can kind of appreciate the process from a different vantage point. And, you know, there is not a ton of worms even in the ones that did make it. Like I said, I don't think there's any, there might be some alive in here, but I didn't see any as I was going quickly. So I'm sure there'll be some cocoons hatching, but who knows, maybe in a couple months we'll come back and check on bin 2 and be like, oh my gosh, there's a whole worm ball in here and they're doing fine. Just had to throw out there for all these bins. This is our nice large, extra large worm supply bag that I sell, that I designed. I am obsessed with it. It helps me keep all of my paper good, dry good waste together. But it was full, like almost overflowing. And so we put a ton of paper. Like that's all that's left in there. And our other smaller size one that has the egg cartons and more like the things like paper towel rolls and stuff like that, that's still pretty full. But these 3 bins got a ton of paper added to it. So fingers crossed that helps the moisture distribution levels kind of balance out a little bit more. Bit of a crisis, possibly averted, TBD. I think we can safely say we loosely mitigated some of the damages, but I'll check in with you guys next time I have any kind of update I can share with you. Thanks for hanging out, and I appreciate everybody's support. All right, bye, friends.